Now with the most local news, this is 8 News Now, live local now.
And thank you for joining us streaming here. Kirsten, Joyce, joined by David Charnes, who returns from vacation after a week. Yeah, welcome back, David.
A little golden. This is about as golden as I get. But
it's like me too.
Yes, filling in for Ozzy for our 2 p.m. streaming show here on our 8 News Now streaming app and on YouTube, right? We're on YouTube as well.
Yes.
All right, that's fun. So yes, back from vacation and really thrown into this, Kirsten, because I was on vacation and we get a news alert that the feds and Metro Police busted this suspected biolab in the Northwest Valley. And this story has really now reached all over the world. We're showing you video from that raid on Saturday. This is just a neighborhood home up there in Sunrise Manor. And what our sources and what police told us on Saturday was they got a tip that there was some sort of biological material. Those are the words that they used in this home. You see the SWAT team there going in, trying to see what this was. And we've since learned here on Monday that this is connected to another biolab in California. So the simplest way to kind of put this together is Metro doesn't exactly know yet what they seized, but we expect to see that, see some maybe images of what was in that home coming up a bit later this afternoon at 3 p.m. But we do know that they seized what they're calling biological material. So I'm thinking vials of things, maybe some biomedical equipment. And what I was able to learn on vacation nonetheless, but over the weekend, because my job never ends, right, is that this is also connected to a company that was raided in California 3 years ago at another suspected biolab. And what they found there were things like malaria in vials, HIV, COVID. They found
dengue
suspected
fever
test kits that were being resold here from China. So there's a huge story here. The federal government really involved in trying to nail this case. We did break the news this afternoon, or actually this morning, that we knew that Metro had detained someone. The person that they have in custody is a 55-year-old man who I'm told was the property manager of this home. He was actually arrested on Saturday for disposing of hazardous materials improperly, and we do expect him to face federal charges in the next couple days, but that has yet to happen. So a lot going on. I'm going to head to that press conference.
Right after this,
literally right after this. I put my keys in my bag to get there safely. And it's just down the street. And yes, they also found
1,000
mice, some of them wounded in that California warehouse where this other lab was. So we're going to talk a lot more about it coming up in our 4 p.m. news, and then we'll have that press conference for you at 3.
Yeah, you'll be taking off right from here, David, and we will be going live at 3 p.m. to take that press conference as well. Thank you for summing all that up, David. That is the big story of the day. Another story we're following closely has to do with the video showing moments a Las Vegas teen was struck and killed crossing the road by a speeding driver, police say. Our Joshua Piguero sat down with that individual's father. He's very frustrated. The trial keeps getting postponed. The video we're showing here is what happened back in March of 2024. 17-year-old Devin Heath. He was hit and killed, allegedly, police say, by this driver pictured here. This happened near Sahara Avenue and Tree Line Drive. His dad saying he was working to become an EMT. He was the eldest of 7 siblings. And the father is very, very frustrated. It's been 2 years since his death. He was supposed to go to trial coming up here next Monday. That was pushed back now to May, so we're looking at more time. And the family just opened up to Joshua, saying they're very, very frustrated. The person being arrested for this crime, 18-year-old Jesus Barraza, he's accused of speeding, going more than double the legal limit that evening when this happened. So we're going to keep you up to date on that. But for more information, you can see Joshua's report at 8newsnow.com.
Yeah, really difficult for these families because the justice process will it's pretty quick and people take deals and move on. Some of these trials can take the chasing horse trial took 3 years to get to that point, right? That you guys were covering last week. Something that we're seeing happen over the last couple of years is what's happening at Commercial Center. And today, Commissioner Tick Segerblum tweeted out some photos of the demolition. Who needs Tick when we have video from 8 News Now, right? This is the demolition happening there in Commercial Center. It's right on Sahara between Maryland and Paradise, just right off the strip. Kind of a little blighted area. They've tried to do some things there. There's some new places. They have when I go do stories there's this great salon, and there's a woman. She's the president of like the commercial center business area, and she's so friendly and so helpful. And people there just really want to revitalize this area that's kind of gotten a bad name the past couple of years. Carl Payne has done a special, several stories about this, and finally now that building is going to come down. It's going to be an arts center. Jessamine Wolk is tracking that story for us today, so you can see that this afternoon here on 8 News Now. But yeah, that's what they're kind of planning on it to look like, and now officially that work, Kirsten, is underway.
Okay. We will, as you mentioned, we'll have
Sure.
Jess coming up.
Daryl.
Yeah, Daryl.
Yeah, just to clarify, also, one portion of the commercial center is what came down. The
Yes.
perimeter buildings are still standing up, and I just thought that maybe that 2 cents was
Some
important.
some of those businesses do not want to be demolished, but that building, I think it's towards the back there. They're going to build a new art center that's going to be a couple $1 million. So that work is now underway.
Again, the full report coming up with Jessamine Wolk at 4 o'clock. All right, guys, I don't know what you were doing on Sunday night. I was not watching the Grammys, but were either of you, both of you?
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't watch. You know, what's so interesting, before you tell us some of the winners,
Yes.
Kirsten, is I love being on the West Coast because we get to watch it twice,
Oh,
right?
this
When
is
you're on
true,
the East
right?
Coast, it starts at 8. You don't want to stay up till 11:30. Here, everything starts at 5. And then if you want, who needs TiVo or YouTube TV when you can just watch it again? So I actually watched it a little later and kind of sped through it. But it was really great. There was this great performance from Lady Gaga where she kind of did all this camera stuff. Justin Bieber was just wearing underwear on the stage.
I heard about that.
And there was a lot of interesting stuff. You're here to talk about it.
Well, some of the winners, if you haven't heard by now, Kendrick Lamar took home 5 Grammys, followed by Bad Bunny, who took 3. You mentioned Lady Gaga as well.
It was a great performance.
Best New Artist, Olivia Dean. I like her. We were listening to her months ago, and my husband was like, if she just had a little exposure, she could be just as good as Taylor Swift, if not better. And sure enough, she wins for Best New Artist.
What's so funny about the Grammys is, like, I've heard her song on the radio, I don't know, for months now.
Yes.
And then you see them when they accept these awards and they're British.
Yeah,
and you don't know it because they
uh-huh.
obviously they sing different. But she started speaking with an accent. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But yeah, the Grammys it's really fun. I love any kind of award show like the Grammys or the Golden Globes where all the celebrities are sitting together and you kind of see them mingle. It's just kind of fun for me to watch that. And Bad Bunny won for Album of the Year, and watching his response, obviously he's going to be at the Super Bowl halftime show. Mm-hmm. He got very emotional. You know, he turned around at one point and saw that big picture of him on the screen, and I started tearing up a bit because it was just kind of emotional to watch it. So I had double the emotion because Kirsten Joyce didn't. So how about that? Hey, let's talk about what's happening in Washington, because we are here yet again running up to a federal government shutdown. Now, it's not going to be like we saw last time. This has already passed the Senate. Right now, the House is working on this. But basically, what's the holdup in Washington right now is Democrats don't want to greatly expand the budget for ICE, right? We've seen what's happened in Minneapolis. We're seeing what's happening in other parts of the country. And they're trying to work at a deal where the funding for ICE and the Department of Homeland Security is kind of separate from the government spending they're voting on. So unfortunately, the way that our government has worked over the past couple of years is they vote on these little spending packages. It's like giving you an allowance for 4 months moving forward. They vote on a budget every year, but they kind of go through this every 4 months or so. Obviously, our government was shut down for more than a month last time. We're not seeing something like that this time because they did manage to fund parts of the government, but there are some workers who are working without pay right now, some federal agencies in defense, health, transportation, and housing that are not getting paid today. Hopefully, they'll come to the deal. Last time I checked, it looked like the president was working with House Speaker Mike Johnson on working on something. Kind of speaks about how the executive branch has expanded in today's time. Normally, the president wouldn't get involved in these kind of negotiations, but the House Speaker has kind of given authority to the White House in his reign as Speaker. So kind of waiting to see how this pans out, but it does not see this shutdown kind of being like it was last time.
Right. You've got, as you mentioned, Johnson. He's hopeful to get a full House vote actually tomorrow. You've got the Democrats who are demanding restraints on ICE that go beyond money for the body camera. They want to require that the federal immigration agents unmask and identify themselves, that they're pressing for an end to those roving patrols. And they also want judicial warrants to be required. And then you've got the Republicans who are saying, hey, we want more funding for Homeland Security. We want proof of citizenship for Americans to enable them to take part in elections and vote. So, you know, we follow this minute by the minute, and we'll see what transpires.
And it looks like just before we started the show, Secretary Kirsten, who obviously oversees that department, and I said that all of the agents who are in Minneapolis will be wearing body cameras. So you see the pendulum swinging a little bit and compromise happening. We'll just have to kind of wait and see what that looks like.
Yeah, that's right. Well, stay with us. We've got plenty more coming up, including our question of the day. We will pull Daryl in, and then we've got a lot more coverage.
And the weather.
That's right.
And the Groundhog. I actually have not seen what happened. So.
Oh, okay. All right, David.
Will I see my shadow?
Excuse me. We'll be right back.
Now with the most local news, this is 8 News Now, live local now.
And welcome back to our streaming center alongside Kirsten, Joyce. I'm David Charnes. Ozzy is, we're on assignment. I love when they say that on TV.
Which
she's doing something,
too.
but she's not sitting here. Yes. Hey, you know, we talked about how I was in Mexico for the week. I came back. And it's just a little cooler here.
Just a tiny bit. I know, we're having unseasonably warm.
It reminds me why I live here and not back in the Northeast, right? Because we shovel in sunshine. Mm-hmm. But with a look at the forecast, here's meteorologist Nate Tannenbaum.
Tell you what, you guys, with all the sunshine we've been having, it's almost a wonder that there's snow left. I mean, it's definitely been cool up there. We're seeing temperatures up on top of the mountain in the 30s at night. But here in the valley, we've been upwards of 70 or above, and I think that's going to continue most of the week. So here's what's going on. We got nothing but a stray cloud or two. We'll keep an eye on this big system out there in the Pacific. But for now, just stray clouds and really not much change. Your weather headlines go like this. Sunshine is for sure in charge. Temperatures remain above normal all week long. I don't think we're going to be setting any record highs. Most of the record highs for this week are closer to 80 degrees. And we'll also check in on your family and friends. It is still awful back there. So for your Monday, we're talking about a high of 73, more than 10 degrees above normal. There's the record high for today at 77. So maybe in the ballpark, but not really a threat. That was just 6 years ago on Groundhog Day, by the way. Sun got up at 6:40 and to go to bed a little bit after 5. So we're keeping an eye out for the possibility of some changes late week here, and the East Coast ice storms continue. Makes you appreciate this most accurate 8-day forecast. I think the warmest day of the week is going to be on Wednesday. All sunshine, maybe 74. Record high for Wednesday is 78. So again in the ballpark. Maybe some of those clouds from the Pacific roll in, bringing high temps down to the 60s. Oh my! That is still above normal, and back to 70 or beyond into the weekend. So get out there and enjoy as the Streamcast rolls on.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Nate. All right. So, David, you say you don't know what happened with Punxsutawney Phil.
Remember in the old days, like 10 years ago when this stuff didn't exist and we used to watch, we used to watch you on the mornings. And this was like big breaking news. What did they see?
The olden days. I
still,
think he's been doing it for a long time.
I still hold on to that.
Oh,
So tell
me.
me.
Well, you and like tens of thousands of others who bundled up and, got on their warm winter woolies and got out there at 3 a.m. There is 6 more weeks of winter. Now, this is disappointing news to millions of people who have suffered the long, cold winter and don't live here. Right, David, just like you mentioned. And actually, in the past, for the tradition, people could always come up and get their picture with Phil. This year, his handler said, no, it's too cold.
I heard he's a biter. So
they said you cannot do that. You can take a group selfie once, but there are no individual pictures because they wanted to get him back into warmth.
Yeah, you know what? I love whatever we call this, superstition or whatever it is. But I swear these guys wake up and they go, Boston, New York, the Northeast are just covered in feet of snow right now. Let's be real. It's going to take 6 weeks for it to melt, right? But yeah, we don't have to worry about that here after Nate said it's going to be in the 70s and unseasonably warm.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have a Phil. We'll talk about Mojave Max, but we don't have a Phil.
Right. We don't have a Phil. We'll pull Daryl in for our question of the day. We have, of course, our Mojave Max, who hibernates at the Springs Preserve.
Yeah, and this is a fun, lighthearted question. There's no wrong answer or right answer. We just want to know what you guys think. So, since Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, and that indicates 6 more weeks of winter, do we think that Max will be asleep for another 6 weeks? Earlier?
He slept a lot last year. I think it was April. It was like the latest ever.
Maybe into May even.
I think it was May something.
We've been talking about these 70s. Maybe Max is warming up and he's ready to come out and he shocks us all this year.
Could be, yes.
I'm surprised we have Mojave Max. We should have, showgirl Sally who sits out there and does she see her shadow on the strip
got plenty
at
of showgirl
noon on February 2nd? I just think that's so
end
funny.
Every year then.
Yeah, exactly. But before you know it, it's going to be 110 again.
I know. Don't
but yes, you can vote right there. Scan that QR code or just go to 8newsnow.com/vote. It looks like the folks who voted earlier this morning for our 10 a.m. show are skewing yes.
They've walked it back. It was very heavily yes. We had some folks thinking that it's going to be a surprise from Max this year, but it's evening out a little bit in terms of when he might typically come out.
He loves that burrow. I mean, gets fed lettuce. Well, he's sleeping. He's not eating.
No.
All right. So staying on this winter theme, of course, Winter Olympics starting this week.
Yes.
On Friday.
The ceremony.
It's fun in theory, but I hate watching it because.
Why?
Because it's.
Does it make you nervous?
No, it's just it's so hard to watch like the highlights, and then I'm so overwhelmed with content, and winter not so much, but in the summer, There's so much, and it's like, do you want to watch there's so many different things. It's so overwhelming for me. But the opening ceremony is happening on Friday in Milan. Of course, this is happening in Italy this year. What's really interesting to me is Mariah Carey is going to be singing at the opening ceremony. Don't think she's going to be singing in English. You'd think she's going to be singing in Italian. Oh. That's what I think.
Okay.
Why else would she be there? She's going to be there with Andrea Bocelli and some other folks. Really only watch for the opening, the closing, and the skating.
No, that's not true, David. Look, curling. We sent JC out. He was live this morning to do some.
JC was at a local curling club. And it's interesting, but what are you really going to watch?
Well,
for the
there
Olympics?
is plenty to watch. In fact, I do like the skiing. But Wednesday, things begin. Okay, so the opening ceremonies, like you said, 2 p.m. Eastern time, so 11 a.m. our time they kick off, and then they air again 5 p.m. And that's about a 3-hour show. The U.S. is sending 232 athletes to the Winter Olympics this year. And we've got the curling, luge, and snowboarding that actually starts Wednesday, David, as well as the alpine skiing and women's hockey. I like the alpine skiing. I'm not much of a winter sport person myself, so I think I enjoy watching other people tackle that.
Yeah, it's I like watching the slalom. Alpine skiing. It reminds me of when I lived in Vermont. And I like the figure skating.
Bobsled? How about bobsledding?
But remember, like, not Nancy, like Nancy Kerrigan, Sarah Hughes, Christy Yamaguchi. Like, I remember all that stuff. We don't live in those times anymore.
I know, it's different. Times are changing.
It's not the same. So
we're getting the hard wrap, David. So we have to hit our last story in this particular break, and it's great news because the Raiders expected to hire Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator. It better be the year.
Well, they love pulling from Seattle.
That didn't
obviously
bode us
it didn't
well
work last time, but I don't know. I mean, at some point you have to think about it's not just one person, right? And this is this is at least the fourth coach in my 5.5 years here.
Fourth official. Count 2
fourth official, Daryl. So, and remember, I think, and Daryl, you might know this more, but I know this from when we've been covering the Gruden case. These guys still get paid even though they get fired.
Yes,
right? They're getting paid.
Several coaches
so
on the payroll.
the Raiders are just losing. I mean, they're not losing money, but they're just giving money to these coaches that they end up firing. So we'll have to see if this is the one.
I hope it is.
No, go big or go home. And Clint Kubiak, who we're talking about, is going to be coaching for the Seahawks on Sunday in the Super Bowl.
Oh, there you
go. He is the son of Gary Kubiak, who won the Super Bowl in 2015 with the Broncos. He'd become the 10th. They would become the 10th father-son duo to become NFL head coaches. And he was sort of the offensive mastermind. He was the offensive coordinator for Seattle. They were good last year with Geno and Pete. They were really good again this year with a different quarterback that a lot of people didn't think was that good still. So he was, deemed the top prospect. The Raiders were patient. Last head coaching vacancy, and appears they got the guy.
Good news for Clint, because I'm no sports fan, but
no, you're not, David.
You can only go up from here.
All right, stick around, guys. We'll be right back. We're talking about Scale the Strap practice that happened over the weekend, but you can still sign up for the event. Stay with us.
Now with the most local news, this is 8 News Now, live local now.
Hi. We're talking about. I
thought you were going to start. Question of the day.
Well, we're running out of time.
Right.
Mojave Max. Will he 6 more weeks? I forget the question. Will he wake up in 6 weeks? So let's show those results. You can vote on 8newsnow.com/vote. They moved, which means people are watching after, what is this, week 3? Wow, week 3 of the 8 News Now streaming center. A work in progress, but hey, 8newsnow.com/vote. Yes, 55%. So will he wake up in 6 weeks? We'll have to wait and see. Certainly the weather moving in that direction. We like it. Yeah. This is the time of year when we don't have to worry too much about if it's going to get cold.
Right, yes.
So, yeah.
And kids win that party. All the elementary school kids take
fun.
part to see who has the best, closest vote. All right. Scale the Strat practice happened over the weekend at Cashman. They haven't had this before at Cashman, and so this was a good entrance
Test,
for people,
yes.
right, to test their lung capacity, their endurance, because the real event happens February 22nd at the Strat. It's 1,455 steps. It's 108 stories. The average times range from 35 to 45. Those elite runners, it happens in like 10 minutes or under. I've never done it yet. It benefits the American Lung Association. Have you, David, tried it?
Please.
Okay, all right.
No, the
But
same day.
register.
I think it's the same day. It was the same day last year. They did Scale the Strat and the Rock and Roll half marathon 10K.
Oh, okay.
Now, I did do the 10K because you heard
that's
me talk about it for 3
yes,
months.
Yes.
And I'm doing it again this year.
Okay.
So my excuse is I can't because I got to do that.
No,
but
that's awesome.
But I like to, they do the 9/11 one with the firefighters, and I'd love to do that one day. But good to you for powering through this Strat.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, we had the Nevada Science Bowl back for another year. This was actually including 24 teams representing 20 schools here all over the state. There were prizes including $5,000, and then the winner goes to the U.S. Department of Energy's National Science Bowl. The Department of Energy and the nuclear folks hosting this year. The winner, Davidson Academy up in Reno. In third place, Clark High School.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Well done, Clark High. Well done.
Good to those folks. Obviously, they got the science thing going, and then the national competition starts April 30th. 15,000 students do the national one. So always love to see local students aspire to big things, become national winners. We just love to see that, and congrats to all the winners.
Well, thank you, David, for filling in.
This was just a one-time thing.
We'll have you back. We have to get him out the door to the Metro Press
Metro.
Conference. We are taking that live at 3. And then, of course, we'll have updates from David and others at 4 p.m. tonight on 8 News Now.
Have a great afternoon.
Go, go, go.